What if the universe has sent a messenger, a fragment of elsewhere, a body not born of our sun but hurled across interstellar space? Above the quiet dark of the solar system, Mars glows like a restless ember, its copper light shimmering against a velvet sky. For millennia, it has burned as a symbol of conflict and longing, a world so near yet still beyond reach. Now that ancient planet finds itself brushed by a new mystery. It is called 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever detected crossing the borders of our cosmic neighborhood. Before it came Oumuamua, a shard so strange it defied every expectation. Then Borisov, a comet that revealed the frozen breath of another star. Now, 3I Atlas moves with its own enigma, carrying questions no telescope has yet answered. It did not form within our solar family. Its atoms are the fingerprints of alien furnaces. Its path a silent testimony to violent births and shattered worlds light years away. Trajectory maps show it drifting toward a course that will sweep close to Mars, as though the red planet has been singled out by fate. In the stillness of space, such motions are neither accidental nor deliberate. They are simply the result of physics unfolding on scales too vast for human imagination. Yet to the watching mind, it feels like more. Is this a passing guest destined to vanish back into the dark, or a harbinger of something greater? Is the universe speaking to us through chance and gravity, warning of how fragile even planets can be? In the silence between stars, 3I Atlas lingers as a question mark, written across the heavens with a hand we do not yet understand. Night falls on Earth, and with it, the heavens begin their eternal performance. Among the countless points of light, astronomers in Hawaii trained their watchful eyes on something new. It was April of 2020 when the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, known as ATLAS, detected a faint smear of motion against the silence of the sky. At first it appeared as just another comet, one among thousands catalogued each year. Yet the subtle numbers embedded in its orbit revealed something extraordinary. This was not a child of the sun. It was an intruder from beyond. The object was given the name 3I Atlas, marking it as the third known interstellar body ever to cross into our solar system. Before it, humanity had witnessed only two such messengers. The first, Oumuamua, in 2017, a shard whose strange acceleration confounded every model of rock or comet. The second, 2I Borisov, in 2019, a true comet with a glowing coma and icy tail carrying the chemical fingerprints of another star system. And then came Atlas, stranger still, arriving almost quietly, yet carrying with it a trajectory that set it apart. Its discovery was not chance alone. The Atlas survey system, perched on the slopes of Mauna Loa and Haleakala in Hawaii, is a sentinel of the skies, designed to catch small asteroids that might one day pose a threat to Earth. Every night, its wide-field cameras sweep vast regions of the heavens, capturing thousands of images that computers sift for motion. On that night, a faint moving point betrayed itself, whispering of an origin older than our world. Soon, other telescopes joined the watch. Pan-STARRS, with its sharp digital eyes and instruments coordinated through NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which began calculating its orbit with relentless precision. The numbers revealed a path unlike anything bound to the sun. Its velocity alone was enough to confirm its alien nature. 3I Atlas was moving at more than 30 kilometers per second relative to the sun, far above the speeds that any ordinary comet or asteroid could achieve within our gravitational family. No orbit could capture it. Its course was hyperbolic, an open arc destined to enter and then escape, a brief passage written by forces from another birthplace. Yet what gripped astronomers most was not only its speed, but its direction. As calculations refined, the trajectory pointed toward a close pass with Mars. To human eyes, it almost appeared choreographed, as though the red planet had been chosen for this encounter. In truth, celestial mechanics knows no intention, The object had been flung long ago by some distant star's gravity well, traveling for untold millions of years before intersecting our planetary neighborhood. But still, the coincidence was haunting. Its brightness rose slowly, betraying a body likely a few kilometers in diameter, cloaked in the pale shroud of a cometary coma. Unlike Borisov, whose outgassing was vigorous and unmistakable, Atlas revealed itself more subtly, a hazy glow that resisted easy classification. Was it a comet in slow decay? Or something else, a fragment of matter weathered by a journey across interstellar voids? Composition remained elusive. Telescopes scanned its light, searching for the familiar signatures of carbon, oxygen, and cyanide that mark comets. Some faint hints appeared, but the data were thin, distorted by distance and by the dimness of the visitor itself. Unlike Oumuamua, which reflected the sunlight of a barren surface, Atlas seemed cloaked in gas and dust. Yet it did not behave as comets typically do. Its tail was uneven, its outbursts irregular, its brightness fluctuating in ways that challenged easy modeling. Comparisons were inevitable. Oumuamua had been like a riddle carved in stone, cigar-shaped or perhaps disc-shaped, accelerating without explanation, as though propelled by something beyond gravity. Borisov had been more familiar, a true comet, though its chemistry hinted at the diversity of alien star systems. Atlas stood between them, neither fully comet nor fully asteroid, carrying the ambiguity of both. It defied simple categories, reminding astronomers that interstellar visitors do not conform to Earth's neat definitions. The singularity of Atlas lay not just in its physical form, but in its timing. To have 3 interstellar objects discovered within just 3 years suggested something profound. For centuries, none had been known. Then suddenly the sky yielded 3. Perhaps the instruments had simply become sensitive enough to see what was always there. A steady rain of objects wandering between stars. Or perhaps something had changed in the broader galaxy. Some distant collision or disruption sending fragments scattering across interstellar gulfs. The universe does not reveal its reasons easily. NASA's tracking refined the numbers further, mapping a trajectory that brushed by Mars at a distance measured in millions of kilometers, far in human terms but cosmically intimate. For planetary scientists, this was more than coincidence. It was an opportunity to observe how such a body interacted with a neighboring world, and whether subtle exchanges of dust or gas could occur in the thin atmosphere of Mars. Though no impact was forecast, the very idea of such a visitor passing near another planet stirred the imagination. What unseen history of collisions and close encounters had shaped the solar system before humans could watch? How many such visitors had once brushed Earth itself, leaving their fingerprints in ancient stone or ice? As telescopes continued to track Atlas, its story grew more mysterious. Its outbursts suggested a body already unstable, perhaps fractured, perhaps carrying volatile ices that vaporized in unpredictable ways. Some astronomers speculated it could disintegrate before reaching Mars, leaving behind only a ghostly trail of debris. Others imagined it as a survivor, hardened by its journey through radiation and time, a relic of a planetary system long since dissolved. Yet always the central question lingered. Why Mars? Why now? In the language of science, the answer is simple: random trajectories governed by gravity, intersecting by chance. In the language of human reflection, the answer feels heavier. The red planet has always been the mirror of human ambition, the next horizon of exploration, the dream of colonization, and the fear of isolation. To see an interstellar body sweep close to it awakens a primal wonder. Perhaps it is coincidence. Perhaps it is cosmic theater. The arrival of 3i Atlas thus became more than an astronomical event. It was a philosophical encounter. Humanity looked to the skies and saw not just an object, but a question written in orbit and velocity. What forces cast this fragment across the galaxy? What hidden histories lie encoded in its dust? And what does its passage say about our own fragile place, clinging to a single star among billions? In the nights that followed its discovery, observatories across the world turned their instruments toward it. The faint glow of Atlas was charted against the backdrop of constellations, its coordinates marked with care, its behavior logged into the archives of human knowledge. Each data point was a fragment of a story older than Earth itself, a narrative carved in motion through the black ocean of space. Still, the truth remained out of reach. No spacecraft would rendezvous with it. No probe would sample its dust. Humanity would know it only from afar, through photons captured in glass and silicon, translated into numbers, and then into meaning. In that gap between data and understanding lies the heart of the mystery. For every calculation that pinned down its orbit, there was another question left unanswered. Was it once part of a shattered planet? Was it a relic of a protoplanetary disk that never formed a star? Or was it simply one of countless fragments adrift, invisible until chance and technology aligned to reveal it? The sky offered no explanation, only the object itself drifting with silent indifference. Atlas was both alien and familiar, a visitor that reminded us that the solar system is not an island, but a crossroads. Beyond the comfort of the sun's gravity, the galaxy seethes with fragments, each carrying the memory of distant worlds. Some pass unnoticed, some brush close, and some, like Atlas, arrive at moments when humanity is watching, turning their paths into questions that echo far beyond astronomy. As Mars glowed in its steady orbit, and Earth's telescopes traced the intruder's motion, a deeper realization began to form. Interstellar visitors are not simply curiosities. They are evidence that the boundaries between stars are porous, that the void is not empty but alive with debris, fragments, and perhaps even precursors to life itself. They remind us that the cosmos is interconnected, that no star, no planet, no system is truly alone, and so the arrival of 3i Atlas was not just another entry in a catalog. It was an invitation to wonder, to question, and to reflect on the fragile thread of time in which humanity exists. For in its silence, in its speed, in its brush with Mars, Atlas carried a message we may never fully decode. But the act of listening, of turning our instruments and our imaginations toward it, became a testament to what it means to be human in a universe that forever withholds its final answers. Since the first human eyes lifted to the night sky, Mars has burned as a restless ember above the horizon. Its hue set it apart, a copper spark glowing with a steady and unsettling light. Where most planets blended into the tapestry of stars, Mars demanded attention. To the Babylonians, it was Nergal, a god of death and plague. To the Greeks, it was Ares, embodiment of war. To the Romans, it became Mars, the deity of conquest, of blood, of empire. Across civilizations, its color carried the same resonance, the color of battlefields, of blood spilled, of iron rusting in the sun. But beneath the myth, there was always a deeper pull. Something about Mars suggested not only danger but familiarity. Unlike Jupiter's overwhelming bulk or Saturn's unearthly rings, Mars seemed close, almost kin. A world not impossibly vast but terrestrial. Its deserts echoed Earth's. Its seasons, though harsher, mirrored our own. The planet was both alien and strangely recognizable, a mirror of what Earth might become in a different time, under a different sun. As science replaced mythology, Mars only grew more compelling. Telescopes in the 19th century revealed shifting dark patches on its surface. Some, like Giovanni Schiaparelli, mapped them into canali, channels that sparked dreams of alien civilizations, carving waterways across a dying world. Percival Lowell carried that dream further, imagining canals built by desperate beings clinging to the last remnants of their planet's fading life. Though the vision proved false, it left a mark on human imagination. Mars became the canvas for countless speculations. From H.G. Wells's Invading Martians to visions of fertile valleys hidden under its dust. By the 20th century, robotic explorers stripped away the romance and revealed something harsher. When the first images from Mariner 4 in 1965 reached Earth, they showed not green valleys but a barren surface scarred with craters. It was a place shaped by dust storms, thin air, and relentless cold. The dream of a verdant Mars dissolved into the reality of a desert planet. Yet the fascination only deepened. If anything, the starkness of Mars, its silence, its scars made it more compelling. Today, Mars stands as both mystery and destination. Its thin atmosphere, less than 1% the density of Earth's, cannot shield it from cosmic radiation. Temperatures plummet to minus 80 degrees Celsius at night, and its surface pressure is so low that liquid water cannot persist for long. Dust storms sweep across entire hemispheres, blotting out the sun for weeks. The planet is both fragile and violent, a place where survival seems impossible, yet tantalizingly within reach. Rovers have become the planet's patient witnesses. From Spirit and Opportunity tracing the outlines of ancient lake beds, to Curiosity drilling into Martian rock for chemical clues, to Perseverance searching for signs of microbial life, each machine has added a layer of understanding. They tell a story of a world that was once warmer, wetter, and perhaps capable of nurturing life. Billions of years ago, rivers carved valleys and oceans may have filled basins. The Mars of today is a desert, but the Mars of the past may have known the chemistry of beginnings. Orbiters have mapped the planet in exquisite detail. They reveal polar caps of frozen water and carbon dioxide, craters lined with ice, and seasonal streaks on slopes that may mark the flow of briny water. Mars is a paradox, lifeless and yet suggestive of life, barren yet whispering of abundance lost. It is this paradox that binds human imagination to it. And now, in this century, Mars has become more than a place of study. It has become a destination. Plans for colonization are no longer the realm of fiction. Private companies and national agencies speak openly of building bases, of mining water ice, of cultivating crops under domes. The planet is imagined as humanity's second home, a refuge for our species should Earth falter. Dreams of rockets ferrying settlers across the void echo through scientific papers and corporate manifestos alike. In this vision, Mars is no longer only a mythic god or a subject of telescopic wonder. It is humanity's frontier. But what does it mean when an interstellar visitor, a fragment from beyond the sun, brushes close to Mars? The symbolism is impossible to ignore. At the very moment when human plans converge on this desert world, the cosmos sends a traveler from another system to pass nearby. The red planet, once the battlefield of gods, now becomes the silent witness to a new kind of encounter. Mars itself is fragile in ways not always understood. Its atmosphere, thin and tenuous, offers almost no protection from impacts. Where Earth's thick air incinerates meteors and fiery streaks, Mars is more vulnerable. Even small fragments reach its surface, carving craters that remain visible for millions of years. A close pass from an object like 3I Atlas does not guarantee collision, yet it sharpens awareness of how precarious the planet's environment truly is. If such an interstellar body were to interact with Mars more directly, through dust, through fragments, through unseen exchanges, the consequences could ripple far beyond astronomy. For those who dream of colonization, Mars is not merely a desert. It is a potential cradle for future generations. Its air, its soil, its water locked in ice, all are resources that must be carefully balanced to sustain life. A perturbation from an alien body, even subtle, could change the delicate equation. Scientists acknowledge the possibilities soberly. Most likely, 3I Atlas will pass at a safe distance, leaving no trace but data logged in observatories. Yet the very act of considering Mars as a stage for such encounters underscores its place in our collective destiny. To imagine human habitats on its surface, only to envision them threatened by a fragment of the galaxy itself, is to feel the weight of cosmic fragility. Mars has always mirrored humanity's own nature. In mythology, it embodied war and survival. In science, it embodies longing and ambition. Now, as the universe delivers to its doorstep a visitor not born of the sun, Mars embodies something more: vulnerability. It is no longer only the stage for human conquest, but a reminder that even worlds are fragile under the vast indifference of the cosmos. The red planet has always been a witness. It has watched comets streak past, asteroids collide, ice caps grow and shrink. It has endured cataclysms that stripped away its atmosphere and turned oceans into dust. Now it will watch again as 3I Atlas drifts near, silent, indifferent, unbound. Whether or not the encounter leaves a mark, the symbolism will remain. Humanity's chosen refuge is not beyond reach of the universe's uncertainties. Perhaps that is the deeper meaning hidden in the timing. Just as humanity prepares to step onto the surface of Mars, the cosmos reminds us of its sovereignty. The dream of colonization is not a promise of safety. It is an act of courage against forces larger than ourselves. Mars may shelter human life one day, but it will never be immune to the vast currents of space. The universe is not hostile, nor is it benevolent. It is indifferent. Mars, the red witness, stands as proof. Its scars are the memory of impacts, its silence the memory of vanished seas, its deserts the memory of a life that might have been. Now, with 3I Atlas brushing past, the planet becomes a symbol once more, not of war or conquest, but of fragility and resilience entwined. For the watchers on Earth, the sight of this convergence carries both awe and unease. It is as though the galaxy itself has chosen to write a parable in orbit, setting the stage with a desert world humanity longs to inhabit, and casting into the scene a traveler from another star. The lesson is not yet clear. Perhaps it will never be. But the spectacle itself is enough. Mars, the red witness, holds its vigil in silence, as the universe reminds us that every plan, every dream, unfolds beneath skies that can change in an instant. And so, when humanity looks to Mars as its second home, it must also reckon with the truth: no refuge is absolute. To build on Mars is to accept that life exists within the theater of the cosmos, where visitors like Atlas will always come and go, their paths inscrutable, their meanings ambiguous. In that acceptance lies both humility and wonder. For if Mars is the red witness, then humanity is the fragile actor, daring to dream beneath an endless and unpredictable sky. In the stillness of interplanetary space, 3I Atlas drifts like a question with no answer. For now, its trajectory carries it past Mars with no sign of danger. Yet, to contemplate the possibilities, scientists ask a haunting question. What if the path shifted ever so slightly? What if this interstellar visitor did not merely pass, but struck? The universe is governed by laws both precise and unforgiving. An object traveling at the speeds measured for Atlas would enter the Martian system with a violence no world could ignore. Its velocity exceeds 30 kilometers per second relative to the Sun, faster than most near-Earth asteroids, faster than even the fragments that once scarred the Moon. At such speed, mass becomes magnified by energy. A body only a few kilometers in diameter could carry the force of millions of nuclear weapons. On Earth, history offers a grim comparison. 66 million years ago, a celestial body around 10 kilometers wide collided with the Yucatan Peninsula, leaving behind the Chicxulub crater and ending the reign of the dinosaurs. That impact released energy equivalent to more than 100 million megatons of TNT. Forests burned, oceans surged, skies darkened. Entire ecosystems collapsed under the weight of dust and fire. Mars is different, but the physics would be no less ruthless. With its thinner atmosphere, the red planet offers little resistance. Where Earth's air shreds smaller meteors into harmless streaks of light, Mars allows them passage. An object the size of Atlas, if solid, would strike the surface with nearly full force. The resulting crater could span tens of kilometers, gouging the crust and exposing material buried deep below. The blast would send shockwaves racing across the planet, shaking its fragile geology in ways that rovers and orbiters could only hope to record. Scientists use scaling laws to estimate such events. At interstellar speeds, the kinetic energy scales astronomically. If Atlas measured even 3 kilometers across, its collision would release energy rivaling or surpassing Chicxulub. The plume of dust and rock would rise far beyond the thin Martian atmosphere, spilling into space. For weeks, fine particles could settle back, shrouding the planet in a haze. With so little atmosphere to buffer it, the fallout might not remain suspended long, but regional and possibly global storms could follow. Dust on Mars is not passive. It is electrostatically charged, prone to lifting, prone to spiraling into storms that can engulf the planet. A single impact might trigger patterns of turbulence that spread across hemispheres. For robotic emissaries, the consequences would be immediate. Satellites orbiting Mars could be showered with debris, their sensitive instruments blinded or destroyed. Landed rovers might find themselves buried under drifting sediment, their solar panels choked, their cameras gazing into red obscurity. Missions designed to operate for years could fall silent in hours. Data streams carefully built over decades could end in static. For humanity's future ambitions, the blow would strike even deeper. Colonization plans depend on fragile calculations, ice deposits to supply water, thin air to be thickened into habitability, fragile machinery to operate in hostile conditions. An impact of interstellar scale could erase carefully chosen landing zones, scatter resources, and reset the clock on decades of preparation. The very stage on which humanity hopes to build its second home could be reshaped in an instant. Yet beyond the practical lies the philosophical. An interstellar object striking Mars would remind humanity of its limits. Even as technology stretches outward, even as plans to build habitats and domes expand, the cosmos retains the power to erase them with a single silent visitor. Mars would bear the scar for millions of years, a monument to a moment when two worlds, one human, one alien, collided by chance. Could such an outcome be prevented? Could humanity, armed with its growing knowledge of orbital mechanics, intervene to deflect or destroy an interstellar intruder? The answer lies in the physics of speed and distance. Objects bound to the solar system are already daunting to redirect. NASA's DART mission proved it possible to alter an asteroid's trajectory by striking it with a kinetic impactor. Yet that asteroid, Dimorphos, orbited close to Earth, moving at manageable speeds. Atlas is not bound. It arrived at interstellar velocity, faster than any target humanity has ever attempted to influence. To intercept it would require extraordinary foresight, technology far beyond what currently exists, and a launch window measured in impossibly short spans of time. For now, humanity's tools remain limited to observation. Atlas can be tracked, measured, its orbit refined with precision. But to alter its fate or Mars's fate lies outside reach. The object is a messenger of scale, reminding humanity that some cosmic encounters are beyond control. Still, the scenario is worth imagining, not for fear alone, but for insight. To model impact is to understand fragility. To calculate craters is to glimpse the power written into the fabric of motion and mass. Even if Atlas does not strike, the thought of it sharpens awareness of the delicate balance that holds every world. Earth itself is shielded by atmosphere, by magnetic field, by chance. Mars has fewer defenses. Its skies are thinner, its shield weaker, its future more exposed. And what of life? Mars today is barren on its surface, but beneath its dust, in frozen aquifers or briny pockets, the possibility of microbial existence lingers. An impact of interstellar scale could sterilize entire regions, boiling ice, scattering chemicals, rewriting the geologic record. Or perhaps paradoxically, it could seed the ground with new chemistry, stirring the ingredients of habitability once more. Some scientists propose that life may spread between worlds by impact, rocks blasted into space carrying spores or organic molecules. If Atlas were to strike, it could, in theory, deliver fragments of alien chemistry to Mars, mingling the histories of two star systems in a single collision. The symbolism is haunting. Humanity prepares to send its own emissaries to Mars to test the soil to bring samples home. Yet before the first colonies rise, the cosmos itself might write its own experiment, colliding two worlds of matter and memory. The event would not be recorded in laboratories but etched into stone and dust, preserved for epochs. Even at safe distances, the fear resonates. Astronomers track trajectories with precision, but the universe is vast and uncertainties remain. Tiny perturbations, the subtle tug of gravity from other planets, the uneven shedding of cometary material, all can nudge paths unpredictably. To imagine Atlas colliding with Mars is not fantasy, but a recognition of possibility. Rare, improbable, yet not impossible. And in that possibility lies the true lesson. Humanity does not control the cosmos. It observes, it predicts, it calculates, but the universe writes the script. An interstellar collision, whether with Mars or some other world, is inevitable on long timescales. The scars across the moon, across Mars, across every solid body testify to this truth. Impacts are not accidents in the story of planets. They are chapters. If Atlas were to strike Mars, the chapter would be dramatic. Dust would rise, storms would follow, missions would end, and a crater would be carved as a monument to chance. The red planet would change, as it has countless times before. Humanity, watching from Earth, would be reminded that the dream of colonization unfolds within a cosmos where certainty is illusion. Perhaps that is the deeper meaning of contemplating such scenarios. Not fear, but humility. To look at Mars not as a stage for conquest, but as a partner in fragility. To see interstellar visitors not only as threats, but as reminders of the forces that shaped worlds long before humanity could name them. For in the end, the question is not whether Atlas will strike. It will not, at least not this time. The question is what humanity learns from imagining it. The vision of impact illuminates the stakes of exploration. The dream of settling Mars becomes not only about engineering and survival, but about acceptance, that life persists not by escaping uncertainty, but by enduring it. The cosmos is not still. It is a sea of motion, of collisions, of encounters beyond prediction. Mars has been struck before, it will be struck again, by bodies large and small. One day, an interstellar visitor may indeed meet its surface in fire and dust. And when it does, the red planet will bear witness once more, silent, scarred, and enduring. When an object from the stars collides with a world, the impact does not end with a crater. It begins a chain of consequences that ripple through stone, ice, air, and time itself. Mars, scarred by billions of years of collisions, is a record of such reactions. Each basin, each fractured canyon, each field of shattered rock speaks of moments when the universe reshaped the red planet in fire and shock. To imagine Three-Eye Atlas as the next to strike is to imagine Mars not as static, but as a world that could once again awaken under sudden violence. Mars is quiet now. Its volcanoes lie dormant, its core sluggish, its atmosphere thin. Yet silence is not the same as death. Beneath the surface lies a planet still capable of change. Vast deposits of frozen water are locked in polar caps and hidden aquifers. Trapped carbon dioxide and other gases cling to rocks and permafrost. A sufficiently powerful impact could shake this stillness, forcing what lies below to the surface in bursts of transformation. The physics of shockwaves on Mars differs from Earth's. With thinner air, seismic energy from an impact spreads more directly into the crust. An object the size of Atlas, striking at interstellar velocity, could drive waves of energy hundreds of kilometers outward, liquefying ice and fracturing bedrock. Subsurface aquifers, if they exist, might rupture, releasing floods that would briefly carve the land before freezing or evaporating into the thin air. Ancient valleys and channels suggest that Mars once knew such bursts of water, perhaps triggered by impacts in its early history. To imagine it happening again is to glimpse a world momentarily revived, its deserts cut by streams of melt, its basins filled with transient seas. Yet the consequences would extend beyond water. Trapped gases within the soil could be liberated. Carbon dioxide, methane, perhaps even hydrogen could spill into the air. For a short time, Mars's atmosphere might thicken, shrouded in dust and gas released from impact. Temperatures could rise locally, perhaps globally, driven by greenhouse effects intensified by new chemical compositions. But just as quickly, the thin grip of gravity would begin to let it go. Without the magnetic shield that once protected it, Mars leaks its atmosphere to space. What might briefly resemble thickened skies could disperse, leaving behind only dust and a reminder of what was lost. For scientists studying terraforming, this paradox is striking. Terraforming Mars has long been imagined as the grand engineering project of future centuries, releasing greenhouse gases, melting ice, thickening the air to make the world more habitable. If 3I Atlas were to strike, the process might be mimicked on a catastrophic scale. The release of gases could resemble a natural experiment in atmospheric engineering. Yet the destruction would outweigh the gain. Colonies could be buried, rovers lost, resources scattered. The very effort to make Mars habitable could be set back by decades, even centuries, if the impact came after humanity had established its presence there. Still, the paradox runs deeper. An event of devastation might also create opportunity. Impacts expose the subsurface, excavating material unreachable by drills or landers. A crater carved by Atlas could reveal geologic layers billions of years old, untouched since the planet's earliest epochs. It could unearth ice untouched by radiation or organics preserved in the dark. To planetary scientists, such a scar would be a library opened suddenly, violently but irresistibly. What would be destroyed in exploration might also be advanced. The history of Earth provides echoes. The Chicxulub impact ended the age of the dinosaurs, but it also paved the way for mammals to rise, reshaping ecosystems and evolutionary paths. Catastrophe is often the twin of opportunity. On Mars, an impact could sterilize and reveal in equal measure, erasing human technology while gifting knowledge of the planet's hidden depths. It is the paradox of science itself. Devastation intertwined with discovery. The atmospheric consequences would extend beyond dust and gas. Mars's storms are infamous for their scale. In 2018, a dust storm grew so vast it engulfed the planet, blotting out the sun for months and silencing the Opportunity rover. An impact by Atlas could trigger storms of equal or greater scale, lifting dust globally, reducing visibility to darkness, altering surface temperatures by tens of degrees. The faint trickle of solar energy that sustains rovers and would one day sustain colonies could vanish behind veils of suspended sediment. Habitats relying on solar power could fall silent. For explorers, survival would hinge on nuclear energy or storage, a reminder that Mars is as hostile as it is alluring. And yet, in the long view, the dust would settle. Mars has endured such storms countless times. Its surface bears scars of ancient impacts greater than even the worst-case scenario for Atlas. The Hellas Basin, nearly 2,000 kilometers across, is thought to have been carved by a colossal collision billions of years ago. That basin reshaped the planet's climate, its geology, perhaps even its magnetic field. If Mars endured that, it would endure Atlas. The red planet survives not by resisting catastrophe, but by absorbing it, by carrying scars as memory. Could such a collision rekindle Mars's geological activity? The planet's great volcanoes, Olympus, Mons, Ascraeus, Arzia, are silent now, their last eruptions millions of years in the past. But impacts inject energy deep into the crust, creating fractures, melting rock, altering pressure. Some planetary geologists wonder if large impacts could trigger renewed volcanism, awakening old systems briefly. If so, Atlas could be not only a destroyer but a spark, stirring a planet long considered geologically dead. To see a Martian volcano glow again, even for a short epoch, would transform human understanding of planetary life cycles. The question of life, too, hangs in balance. If microbes still linger beneath Mars's surface in briny refuges warmed by geothermal heat, an impact could annihilate them. Yet it could also disperse them, lifting spores into dust plumes, scattering them across regions, seeding environments newly warmed by transient water. The irony is profound. What might extinguish life in one place could spread it to another, multiplying its chances of survival. For astrobiology, such events are both tragedy and experiment. In considering these chain reactions, the scale of humanity's role shrinks. Colonization, terraforming, exploration, all are dwarfed by the energies written into cosmic collisions. The dreams of engineers, the plans of agencies, the visions of science fiction all unfold against a backdrop where a single impact can reset the stage. To imagine Atlas striking Mars is to confront this truth directly, that human ambition operates at the mercy of forces larger than imagination. And yet, within that humility lies a strange kinship. Humanity, too, is the child of impacts. Earth's history was written by collisions, from the formation of the moon in a giant impact 4 billion years ago, to the delivery of water by icy bodies, to the catastrophes that shaped evolution. Without impacts, life might not exist at all. Mars is no different. Its valleys, its basins, its dust are all products of encounters with bodies flung across the solar system. If Atlas were to strike, it would not be an intrusion into Mars's story, but a continuation of it. For the watchers on Earth, the idea lingers like an echo. An interstellar body, alien in origin, carrying the chemistry of another star, colliding with the planet humanity longs to inhabit. The symbolism is inescapable. A cosmic experiment staged without consent, a reminder that the universe writes its own outcomes. Terraforming may one day thicken the Martian air, warm its soil, seed its deserts with crops. But the universe may also thin that air again, bury those crops in dust, scatter habitats in seconds. Progress and setback are not opposites in space. They are partners. So what would Mars become in the aftermath of such a chain reaction? Perhaps a world scarred but unchanged in essence, its silence deepened by new craters. Perhaps a planet temporarily awakened, its atmosphere stirred, its geology rattled into brief activity. Perhaps a place where destruction and opportunity fold into one, offering lessons at the cost of lives and dreams. The possibilities are as wide as the gulf between stars and as mysterious as the origins of Atlas itself. The paradox cannot be escaped. In catastrophe lies knowledge. In devastation lies potential. Mars, if struck by an interstellar body, would embody that paradox completely. For every rover silenced, new geology would be revealed. For every habitat destroyed, new chemistry would be exposed. For every plan disrupted, new understanding of planetary processes would emerge. The cosmos does not offer lessons gently. It writes them in stone, in dust, in fire. And so, the question of chain reactions is not only about science, but about perspective. To imagine Atlas colliding with Mars is to imagine a world both vulnerable and resilient, fragile and enduring. It is to recognize that colonization and terraforming, no matter how carefully planned, unfold within a system where certainty is an illusion. Humanity may build domes and habitats, but the universe builds in impacts and collisions. The dialogue is unequal, but it is real. Mars, the Red Witness, has carried the memory of collisions for billions of years. If Atlas were to join them, it would only add another chapter to a history already written in scars. Yet for humanity, watching from Earth, the meaning would be new. It would not be only geology, It would be a reminder that to live among the stars is to accept both wonder and risk, both opportunity and loss. Every discovery carries with it a shadow of uncertainty, a place where data ends and speculation begins. With 3i Atlas, that shadow is vast. Numbers define its orbit, telescopes chart its brightness, but its nature remains hidden. To know what it is, humanity must imagine where it came from. The simplest hypothesis is the most familiar. Atlas may be a natural fragment of a shattered world. In the chaos of star systems, planets collide, moons fracture, and debris is flung into the void. Our own solar system bears witness. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter may be the remains of a world that never formed. Impact scars on the Moon and Mars reveal the violence of planetary birth. If such destruction occurs here, it surely occurs elsewhere. Atlas could be a shard of some alien planet, torn free in a cosmic catastrophe, set adrift for millions of years before its path brushed our sun. Another possibility places it in the lineage of comets. Star systems are thought to host vast reservoirs of icy bodies, like our Oort cloud, that extend for light years. When stars pass near one another, their gravity disturbs these icy vaults, sending fragments inward. Some fall toward their home stars. Others are ejected entirely, cast into interstellar space. Atlas could be such a wanderer, a rogue comet exiled from a distant system. Its hazy coma and irregular outbursts support this possibility, suggesting volatile ices sublimating after eons in darkness. If so, it is a relic not only of another star, but of its primordial disk, a survivor from the dawn of alien worlds. Yet the mystery deepens when compared to its predecessors. Oumuamua, the first interstellar object ever observed, was unlike any comet or asteroid known. It accelerated without explanation, as if pushed by something more than gravity. Its shape, whether cigar-like or pancake flat, reflected sunlight in ways no natural body should. For many, it was simply an enigma. For a few, it was something more. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb proposed the most controversial idea, that Oumuamua could be an artificial object, a probe or fragment of technology sent by another civilization. His reasoning was not born of fantasy, but of anomalies. The non-gravitational acceleration, the absence of cometary gases, the extreme improbable geometry, each detail strained natural explanations. Perhaps, he argued, the answer was not natural at all. The scientific community responded with caution, even skepticism. Most researchers lean toward natural origins, an icy fragment shedding hydrogen, or a peculiar shard shaped by processes not yet understood. NASA and JPL maintain the careful language of science. Unexplained, yes, but not proof of technology. Yet Loeb's proposal lingered in the public imagination. For the first time, the possibility of alien engineering was discussed in peer-reviewed journals, not just in fiction. When Borisov arrived, its cometary tail seemed to restore balance. Here was a textbook example of interstellar debris, ice sublimating into gas, behaving just as comets should. Natural explanations returned to the forefront. Yet Atlas complicates the pattern again. Neither fully comet nor fully asteroid, it dwells in ambiguity. Its outbursts are irregular, its structure uncertain. It hints at natural origins, but in ways that evade clarity. And so the question returns, what if it is not natural? If Oumuamua raised the specter of artificiality, could Atlas be considered in the same light? Could an interstellar object traveling with purpose arrive not by chance but by design? Its trajectory toward Mars sharpens the question. To astronomers, its path is dictated by gravity alone, the inevitable arc of a body flung across the stars. To philosophers, the coincidence is harder to ignore. Why Mars? Why now, as humanity prepares to step onto its soil? If this were not coincidence, what would it mean? Speculation brushes against awe. If Atlas were artificial, it could be a probe, a relic of a civilization long vanished, a silent machine drifting between stars. Its coma could be not only vaporized ice, but fragments of material once engineered. Its instability could be the decay of ancient construction, falling apart after uncountable years. The silence of its signal does not rule this out. After all, Earth's own spacecraft, Voyager 1 and 2, will one day drift into interstellar space, their power fading, their signals silenced. To future observers, they would appear as little more than anomalous rocks, unless one looked closely. Could Atlas be such a relic launched by minds alien yet curiously familiar in ambition? Science holds the line of skepticism. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence, and Atlas offers none. No signal, no clear geometry, no undeniable anomaly. The consensus remains with natural origins. Fragment, comet, wanderer. Yet philosophy refuses to let go of the alternative. For if it were artificial, the implications would be staggering. Its path toward Mars could not be dismissed as chance. It would be intention. An emissary sent not to Earth but to the Red Planet. The stage of humanity's dreams would become the focus of someone else's. Even if natural, Atlas speaks to alien origins in another way. Its atoms are not of our sun. The isotopes embedded in its dust formed in furnaces light years away, in stars that lived and died before Earth was born. To hold even a fragment of it would be to touch the chemistry of another system, the fingerprints of another genesis. Whether shard of planet or fragment of comet, it carries the story of alien worlds in its core. This alone makes it profound. NASA's cautious language reflects the limits of science. With no mission to rendezvous, no samples to recover, humanity is left with photons captured from afar. Data points become theories, theories become debates. In that uncertainty, imagination expands. Theories of natural fragments compete with whispers of technology, each side grounded in the same absence of proof. The deeper mystery is not only what Atlas is, but how humanity responds to not knowing, for in that response lies a mirror. Skeptics see natural order, anomalies explained by physics yet undiscovered. Visionaries see possibility, a universe alive with intelligence, hints of connection drifting across the void. Both perspectives reveal truth. The cosmos is vast enough to contain both ordinary stones and extraordinary machines. The challenge lies in discerning which is which, and in accepting that sometimes the answer remains beyond reach. And so Atlas lingers as an enigma. If natural, it is a messenger of planetary death, carrying fragments of alien catastrophes. If cometary, it is a survivor of alien dawns, a shard of ice from another sun's nursery. If artificial, if even one whisper of speculation holds, then it is a revelation. A sign that we are not the first to look outward, not the first to dream of crossing stars, Mars. The Red Witness becomes the stage for this mystery. Its orbit intersects with Atlas. Its scarred deserts may one day hold evidence of the visitor's passage. Whether the object is natural or artificial, its coincidence with humanity's ambitions cannot be ignored. As plans for colonization advance, the universe places in Mars's sky a traveler from beyond, a reminder that exploration unfolds in a cosmos already ancient, already written with other stories. The deeper mystery, then, is not simply the origin of Atlas, but its meaning. Why now? Why here? Why, as humanity stands on the edge of interplanetary life? The cosmos offers no answers. It only offers silence, punctuated by objects like this, drifting through the dark. Philosophy fills the silence with questions. If it is natural, it shows the universality of planetary birth and death, proving that other systems share our violence. If it is artificial, it shows the universality of ambition, proving that other minds once dreamed as we dream. In either case, Atlas reminds humanity that it is not alone, either in its physics or in its longing. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery. To look at Atlas is to confront not only the question of what it is, but the reflection of what we are. A species poised between science and speculation, between skepticism and wonder, between certainty and imagination. A species that sees in a faint smudge of light not only a rock or a comet, but the possibility of contact with something greater. The story of Atlas may never be resolved. It will pass as Oumuamua did, vanishing into the dark beyond Pluto, leaving only data in its wake. But its meaning will remain. For as long as humanity looks outward, every interstellar object will be a messenger. Every anomaly will be a question. And every question will remind us that the cosmos is not silent. It is speaking in fragments, in enigmas, in visitors like Atlas. What it is saying we may never know, but to listen is to be human. In the silence of the desert night, Mars waits. To human eyes, it has always seemed close, its copper glow steady against the dark. Across centuries of myth and science, it has been imagined as a battlefield, a neighbor, a destination. Now in this century, it has become something more. A dream of refuge, the place where humanity might begin again. The vision is clear. Rockets rise from Earth and cross the Gulf, their trajectories plotted with exquisite precision. Colonists step onto Martian soil, their footprints pressed into red dust untouched for billions of years. Habitats rise like bubbles against the endless horizon. Domes shimmer with the glow of greenhouses. Ice, mined from ancient reservoirs, is melted into water and air. Slowly, a fragile oasis blooms under alien skies. SpaceX has spoken openly of fleets of starships, carrying settlers and cargo, building the first city on Mars. NASA's Artemis program speaks of the moon as a stepping stone, its lessons preparing humanity for a journey farther still. Agencies and companies sketch plans of solar farms, regolith shelters, laboratories, and even terraforming campaigns to warm the air. The dream of becoming a multiplanetary species no longer belongs to fiction. It lives in blueprints and prototypes, in contracts and countdowns, yet dreams are fragile. For all the engineering and ambition, Mars remains an unforgiving host. Its atmosphere is thinner than the highest reaches of Earth's stratosphere. Its air is unbreathable, composed mostly of carbon dioxide. Temperatures plunge to extremes, and radiation strikes its surface unshielded by magnetic fields. To survive there is to live within bubbles of technology, machines that must never fail, calculations that must never be wrong. Colonization is not conquest. It is endurance, measured second by second. Against this fragility, the cosmos writes its own script. Worlds are not empty stages waiting for actors. They are dynamic, scarred, and shaped by forces far beyond human control. Into this reality comes the unsettling question, what if an interstellar visitor, like 3-Eye Atlas, were to arrive not as a distant curiosity, but as a direct intruder? What if, at the very moment humanity plants its flag on Mars, the universe answers with catastrophe? The scenario feels cinematic, but the physics are real. Colonies, built on fragile infrastructure, would be helpless in the face of an impact. A body only a kilometer wide, striking Mars at interstellar velocity, would release energy beyond imagination. Craters tens of kilometers across would form in seconds. Shockwaves would ripple outward, flattening habitats, shattering domes, scattering dust across continents. The thin atmosphere would do little to shield or buffer. For colonists, survival would vanish in an instant. Even if the collision missed the settlements themselves, the consequences could still be devastating. Dust storms triggered by the blast could cover the planet for months. Solar arrays would fail under layers of grit. Supply lines from Earth could be interrupted by debris in orbit. Carefully selected sites, chosen for their resources and safety, could be rendered uninhabitable. A colony might endure for years, only to be undone by a single event written millions of years ago in another star system. The symbolism is haunting. Humanity dreams of Mars as a second home, a safe harbor beyond Earth. Yet in truth, it is no more secure than Earth itself, perhaps even less so. The very act of reaching for another world only expands the stage on which cosmic accidents can strike. Colonization does not free humanity from fragility. It multiplies it, and still the dream persists. To imagine colonists looking up at the sky as Atlas approaches is to imagine courage stretched to its breaking point. They would know the odds. They would hear the calculations. They would watch the faint smudge of light grow brighter with each night. Hope would flicker between the words of scientists declaring safety and the whisper of uncertainty that always remains. For even the best trajectories are never absolute. There is always a margin, always a question. In that question lies the human condition itself, to act in the face of uncertainty, to hope in the shadow of risk. For philosophers, the thought of an interstellar object intersecting with Mars before humanity's arrival is even more profound. What would it mean if the planet were scarred before the first colony is built? If a crater, fresh and raw, awaited the settlers as their ships descended? Would it be read as a warning, a cosmic sign that Mars is not ours to claim? Or would it be read as an invitation, a reminder that this world is alive in its own way, shaped by forces that colonists must accept rather than conquer? Such questions echo beyond engineering. They speak to the meaning of exploration itself. Is the dream of Mars about safety, about finding refuge beyond Earth's fragile biosphere? Or is it about humility, about recognizing that every world is part of a universe that will never be tamed? If the latter, then colonization becomes not escape, but relationship. A dialogue with a planet that carries scars older than humanity itself. The science underscores the tension. Models of Mars colonization rely on stability. Ice must remain accessible. Radiation must be mitigated by rock or regolith. Resources must be predictable. A sudden impact would upset these balances, yet impacts also reveal. A crater could expose new water ice, unearth new minerals, open new possibilities for construction or research. Colonists might find devastation at first, but opportunity in the aftermath. The paradox mirrors the very history of life on Earth. Catastrophe intertwined with renewal. Still, the fragility is undeniable. Colonies would not be vast cities, at least not in their first centuries. They would be small, isolated, vulnerable to every failure. A single dome cracked, a single power system silenced, a single supply ship delayed. These alone could threaten survival. Add to that the possibility of interstellar debris, and the precariousness becomes profound. The dream of becoming multiplanetary is heroic, but it is also perilous. It places humanity not in safety, but in deeper exposure to the universe's indifference. The question then becomes not only scientific, but existential. What does it mean for humanity to risk so much for a dream so fragile? What if, after decades of planning, Mars is struck before or during colonization? Would humanity turn back, defeated, resigned to Earth alone? Or would it press forward, accepting that risk is inseparable from destiny? The cosmos offers no assurances. Mars has been struck countless times. It will be struck again. Whether by Atlas or another visitor, the red planet will continue to gather scars long after humanity has arrived. Colonies, if they endure, will endure alongside those scars. The risk is not hypothetical. It is written into the very nature of planetary life, and yet, that may be the very reason the dream matters. To build on Mars is to accept fragility openly, to face the possibility of loss without retreat. Colonization is not the promise of safety. It is the promise of resilience, the declaration that humanity will attempt to live even where the universe offers no guarantees. The presence of objects like Atlas only sharpens this truth. If Mars is to be a second home, it will be a home built in defiance of certainty, a home that acknowledges the universe's vast indifference and chooses to endure anyway. The human factor is not only risk, it is meaning. Colonies at risk from interstellar impacts are symbols of the larger human story. Fragile beings building fragile shelters in a universe that could erase them without notice. And yet choosing to build, to endure, to hope. In that act lies something greater than survival. It is a statement of identity, that humanity belongs not only to Earth but to the cosmos, even if the cosmos never guarantees belonging. Perhaps that is the final lesson of imagining Atlas intersecting with Mars's future colonies. The dream of Mars is not a dream of control. It is a dream of participation. To live on Mars is to share in its history of impacts, storms, and silence. To risk colonies against the backdrop of interstellar visitors is to admit that humanity is not separate from the cosmos, but part of it. The scars of Mars, old and new, will be shared by its settlers. Their survival will not erase fragility. It will transform it into resilience. And so, the human factor becomes not only the risk of loss, but the acceptance of wonder. To imagine a colony devastated by an interstellar impact is to imagine tragedy. But to imagine colonists returning, rebuilding, enduring, is to imagine the true meaning of exploration. The cosmos will always test humanity. Mars will always be scarred. Interstellar visitors will always arrive without warning. The question is not whether humanity can escape these truths, but whether it can live within them. Mars, the Red Witness, will watch as humanity tries. And if 3i Atlas passes close or collides, if it leaves scars visible from orbit or none at all, its role will be the same. It will remind humanity that the dream of Mars is not about perfection, but about perseverance. Colonies at risk are not a reason to turn away. They are the very reason to go, to prove that life can endure, even under skies that can change in an instant. The night sky is vast, and yet it often feels still. Stars shimmer as if eternal, planets trace their quiet arcs, and for centuries humanity believed that the heavens were fixed. But in recent years, the illusion of stillness has been broken. Interstellar visitors, once unknown, have begun to reveal themselves. Oumuamua in 2017, Borisov in 2019, and now 3i Atlas. 3 objects in such quick succession after eons of silence. To astronomers, the reason lies in advancing technology, in surveys wide and sensitive enough to capture faint streaks of motion. To philosophers, the timing itself carries a question. Why now? Why in this moment of human history, as humanity first stretches its hand toward other worlds? Perhaps the answer is simple. Perhaps these visitors have always been there, drifting silently through the solar system, unrecorded because no eye was keen enough to see them. In this view, the cosmos is not sending messages. It is only being witnessed more clearly than before. Yet even this answer carries weight. For what does it mean that just as humanity learns to look outward, the sky answers with fragments from other stars? Is it coincidence? Or is it a reminder written in the fabric of time that expansion carries with it exposure, that the universe is not empty, but restless? Einstein's relativity reminds us that space-time itself is a continuum of inevitabilities. Objects set into motion long ago will intersect with our present, not by intention, but by geometry. Oumuamua was flung from its origin perhaps hundreds of millions of years ago. Borisov may have traveled from the depths of a disrupted star system. Atlas II carries momentum from an ancient scattering. Their arrival now is not by choice, but by inevitability. The curvature of space-time brings encounters when it must, not when it is convenient. To live in such a universe is to accept that what feels like timing may simply be destiny unfolding beyond our control. And yet the human mind struggles with coincidence. Patterns are sought in silence. If interstellar visitors arrive at this moment, at the dawn of space colonization, it is tempting to read the universe as a storyteller, layering metaphor into physics. Could it be warning us? Could the sudden recognition of these travelers be less about technology and more about timing? As if the cosmos itself wishes us to confront our fragility before we leap into the dark? Stephen Hawking often spoke of this fragility. He warned that humanity cannot remain on Earth forever, that the planet is vulnerable not only to our own actions, but to the randomness of the cosmos. Asteroids, supernovae, black swan events written in the stars, all could one day erase the fragile biosphere we depend upon. His call was not born of fear but of urgency. Humanity must expand beyond Earth, must scatter its presence across planets and systems if it is to endure. Mars, in his view, was not simply a destination. It was an ark, a second chance, a foothold in the wider galaxy. But what if even that ark is not secure? The eerie notion haunts every reflection on Atlas. As humanity dreams of domes and habitats on Mars, an interstellar object arrives on a trajectory brushing close to it. The timing could be meaningless, or it could be the universe's way of reminding us that there is no true refuge. Mars, too, can be struck. Colonies, too, can be erased. The fragility is not limited to Earth. It extends everywhere. To expand is not to escape. It is only to multiply the arenas in which vulnerability is exposed. This truth does not diminish the dream of colonization. It deepens it. To imagine Mars scarred before it becomes a refuge is to confront the paradox of exploration. We go not because safety is guaranteed, but because it never is. We step outward not to find certainty, but to live within uncertainty more fully. Interstellar visitors sharpen this awareness not by intention, but by presence. Their silence speaks louder than any signal. They remind us that the universe is not a stage built for us. It is a sea in which we are small boats, fragile, temporary, yet determined to sail. The physics underscores the inevitability. In Einstein's cosmos, motion is written across space-time like threads across a loom. Worlds orbit stars, stars orbit galaxies, galaxies drift through clusters. Within that fabric, collisions are not accidents. They are intersections preordained by trajectories set long before life arose on Earth. Atlas did not choose to brush Mars. It was flung long ago by forces indifferent to us. Yet its arrival coincides with our gaze, with our readiness to see, with our vulnerability sharpened by ambition. This coincidence is not a message, but it feels like one. Philosophy bends toward such feelings. Humans have always read meaning into the sky. Eclipses were omens. Comets were portents of doom or change. Today, science strips away superstition, but the instinct remains. When Oumuamua accelerated strangely, some wondered if it was artificial. When Borisov appeared, some asked what message its alien chemistry carried. With Atlas brushing Mars, the question turns again toward meaning. Could the universe be reminding us that refuge is an illusion? That fragility is not something to escape, but something to endure. Stephen Hawking's warning resonates here. To expand is necessary, but it is not salvation. To spread across planets is to spread fragility. Colonies on Mars will face not only engineering challenges, but cosmic accidents. They will not be exempt from dust storms, from impacts, from interstellar debris. They will only be exposed in new ways. And yet, Hawking would argue, this is precisely why we must go. To place all of life on one planet is to court extinction. To spread is to accept risk, but to multiply chances. Fragility does not vanish. It is diluted. Mars becomes the focal point of this paradox. Humanity imagines it as a second home, yet the universe reminds us that it is as vulnerable as the first. Perhaps this is not a warning against going, but a warning about how we go. Colonization must not be built on illusions of safety. It must be built on acceptance of risk, on resilience in the face of inevitability. Interstellar objects like Atlas are not enemies. They are reminders that survival is not granted. It is earned moment by moment under skies that offer no guarantees. Patterns emerge in silence because humans need them. To see 3 interstellar visitors in as many years after millennia of none feels like a pattern. To link them to the age of space exploration feels natural. Perhaps it is coincidence, perhaps inevitability, perhaps both. But the reflection it invites is valuable. The universe does not speak, but it reveals. In Oumuamua's anomaly, in Borisov's alien chemistry, in Atlas's brush with Mars, we are forced to see ourselves against a backdrop larger than imagination. If there is a warning, it is not in intention. It is in scale. The cosmos reminds us that fragility is universal, that planets like people are temporary, that safety is an illusion, and that the only true response is not fear but resilience. To expand outward not with arrogance but with humility. To dream of Mars not as a fortress, but as a continuation of our shared vulnerability. To recognize that to be human is to live under skies that can bring both wonder and catastrophe in a single breath. Mars, the Red Witness, holds this truth in silence. Its scars are testimony to impacts past. Its thin air is testimony to loss. Its deserts are testimony to fragility. And now as 3i Atlas drifts near, the planet becomes a mirror of our moment. Are we ready to live within such fragility, to accept that expansion is not escape, but endurance? The answer is not in the stars. It is in us. Einstein revealed that time and space are not separate but woven. Hawking reminded us that within this weave nothing is permanent. The universe creates, destroys, evolves, and moves on. Interstellar objects like Atlas are the embodiment of this truth. They are fragments of other stories, drifting into ours, reminding us that we are not the center, only participants in a vast, indifferent play. And yet, indifference does not erase meaning. Meaning is created in how we respond. To see Atlas brushing Mars and to ask, "What does this mean?" is already an act of defiance against indifference. It is to insist that fragility is not futility, that vulnerability does not cancel purpose. It is to declare that even in a universe that offers no warnings, we can choose to see them and to act as though they matter. Cosmic warnings, then, are not carved into orbits by alien hands. They are carved into human perception by timing, by coincidence, by imagination. The pattern is ours, but the silence is real. And in that silence, we glimpse ourselves more clearly than in any mirror. Fragile, ambitious, uncertain, but unyielding. Ready to step outward, even as the universe reminds us that no step is safe. Mars waits. Atlas drifts. The silence of the cosmos is unbroken. Yet in that silence, humanity hears a warning, not of doom, but of truth. That to live is to risk. That to expand is to endure. And that the greatest danger is not in going, but in staying, mistaking fragility for safety. Mars glows faintly in the night sky, its copper light shimmering like a coal that refuses to die. Around it, the darkness of space stretches unbroken, vast and indifferent. Somewhere within that darkness drifts 3i Atlas, a fragment from another star, a wanderer born of forces older than Earth itself. Its path intersects with our imagination more than with our world, and in that intersection, it awakens a question far greater than impact, greater even than survival. For the true weight of this moment does not lie in the possibility of collision. It lies in the confrontation with fragility. Humanity stands small before the cosmos, its plans delicate, its dreams young, its technologies like fragile scaffolding built against a storm. Every interstellar object is a reminder that no matter how carefully trajectories are calculated, no matter how confidently colonies are designed, the universe is larger, faster, and older than anything we can control. The worst-case scenario is not destruction. It is realization. The realization that the universe owes us nothing, that our survival is not inevitable, that our place among the stars is not promised. To glimpse Atlas against the backdrop of Mars is to feel the immensity of forces that move without regard for us. And yet it is also to glimpse the audacity of human ambition, daring to dream in the face of such immensity. For thousands of years, Mars has been a symbol. To ancient cultures, it was war and blood. To astronomers, it was mystery. To science, it has become possibility. The next horizon, the second home, the promise of survival beyond Earth. But now, with Atlas drifting near, Mars becomes something else. A mirror. A mirror of humanity's paradox, fragile yet determined, insignificant yet yearning, vulnerable yet unwilling to stop. Einstein showed that space and time are not separate, but woven into a single fabric. Within that fabric, objects like Atlas are inevitable, their paths written long before humanity had the capacity to see them. Stephen Hawking reminded us that no world is safe, that survival requires expansion, that the fragility of Earth demands a second home. Together, these truths converge on Mars and on the interstellar visitor that brushes close to it. The timing may be coincidence, but the meaning we draw from it is not. Every time a fragment from the stars enters our solar system, it forces us to look again at the nature of survival. Are we here because of luck? Because the Earth has not yet been struck again by a body large enough to erase us? Are we here because of destiny? Because intelligence itself is somehow written into the evolution of life? Or are we here because of choice? Because despite fragility, despite risk, humanity continues to reach, to endure, to refuse silence. The answers remain beyond reach. But the questions themselves reveal who we are. A species that looks at a faint point of light and turns it into a story. A species that sees in the path of Atlas not only physics but philosophy. A species that confronts the possibility of erasure and still chooses to dream. As Atlas drifts near Mars, its meaning multiplies. To some, it is a warning, a reminder that fragility is universal. To others, it is a challenge, urging us to build, to expand, to endure despite inevitability. To still others, it is a symbol, proof that the cosmos is alive with fragments, with mysteries, with reminders that we are not the only story being written. Mars remains steady, its deserts unbroken, its thin air whispering in silence. It has endured billions of years of impacts, storms, and loss. It will endure Atlas, whether in a safe pass or a catastrophic strike. But humanity is different. For us, endurance is not guaranteed. Every encounter with the interstellar unknown forces us to ask what kind of future we are building. A future of retreat, confined to a single planet waiting for inevitability. Or a future of expansion, fragile but resilient, spreading across worlds, refusing silence. The horizon of uncertainty stretches before us. It is not only the uncertainty of Atlas or of impacts or of cosmic accidents. It is the uncertainty of meaning itself. Who owns the future of the cosmos? Humanity with its fragile domes and bold dreams? Or the universe itself with its indifferent laws and ancient inevitabilities? The question is not answered by data. It is answered by choice. Mars waits under its copper glow. Atlas drifts across the void, silent, alien, inscrutable. Humanity watches, listens, calculates, and wonders. The encounter will pass. The visitor will vanish back into darkness. But the meaning will remain. The cosmos has not spoken, yet it has forced us to ask. To ask whether survival is luck, destiny, or choice. To ask whether fragility is futility or resilience. To ask whether in a universe that writes its script in collisions and silence, humanity can write its own. And so the story closes not with certainty, but with reflection. Mars glows beneath the stars. Atlas passes across its horizon. The silence of the cosmos deepens, and the question remains, echoing beyond planets, beyond time. Who truly owns the future of the cosmos? Humanity with its fragile persistence? Or the universe itself, vast, indifferent, eternal? The answer is not yet written. The horizon of uncertainty waits.